Hello and welcome to the Whole Man Mission podcast. Another episode with another veteran, and this is a good friend of mine who's worked out in the Renegades gym for quite a long time now, a few years. He trains in a certain way and he lives his lifestyle in a certain way and he just looks brilliant. But we're going to talk about some veteran stuff today and we're going to talk about longevity. So Sandy, if you want to just introduce yourself, brother.
Absolutely, thanks for inviting me, Dan. Great to be here. I'm Sandy Sanderson. I did 23 years in the army. I've been out 16, 17 years now. And left in 2006. So my career was from start of the 80s up to 2006. And I left in 2006 and I worked for a security consultancy for 2 years, working mainly in London. And then I left that and set up my own business, doing what I was doing in employment, but then incorporated a bit of training into it as well. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Okay. So I was talking about the transition for you, same as what we had with Dan Turner. The transition was pretty sound for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it took me 3 months from leaving to get into employment. I didn't look at that 3 months and go, oh God, I haven't got employment, and get myself into a downward spiral. And I knew that something had come along, and I wasn't looking for a particularly high paid job. I was looking for anything. If my business went down the pan, I'd go and stack shelves in Tesco's, but I'd go and do something to earn money, to keep myself ticking over. From that point of view, I have got a very can-do, sort of attitude. I worry about the things that I've got control of. If I haven't got control of it, not interested. Of course, it's there. It's in the back of the eyes, but it's not something that I dwell on.
Yeah. So, I want to move swiftly onto this stuff that I found fascinating, because some of the conversations we have in the gym, and then I catch Sandy and we get talking about all sorts. But one of the things that fascinates me most about what you do with your lifestyle is the fasting. Now, fasting is a very, very topical subject at the moment, and especially with some of the big hitters in the podcasting world at the minute, they keep talking about fasting. But I think more people need to speak to people that actually do it. I know there's lots of evidence out there to support the benefits, but I want to just talk about how you do your fasting. What's your longest fast? And how you felt while you've been doing your little journey with fasting.
Yeah, it is fascinating, and I, like you, I like to read sort of evidence, but I don't take it verbatim. No. I like to use myself as a guinea pig. In my humble opinion, you don't need to go and speak to. If you speak to your doctor will go, oh no, you shouldn't do that. Yeah. Because when they've gone through medical school, the average doctor in Britain and America spends between 1 and 10 days studying nutrition. So, make your mind up about, the knowledge that's out there. Now, there are doctors that really take nutrition to another level, study it, understand it, and they're the ones that you should listen to.
Yes.
Right, so I'll look at what the evidence says and what the internet says, but then I'll use myself as a guinea pig. And the internet. If you go on the internet and put in prolonged fast, go speak to your doctor.
Yeah.
So if you've got an underlying health condition, speak to your doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. But I just like this, sort of subject. I do a lot of my own, sort of research into it. So the longest fast I've done is 10 days. Water only. That's it.
So
no coffee, no nutrients whatsoever, apart from water. And I train every day in that 10 days as well.
So when you first did your first 10-day fast, first of all, what brought you to that decision?
Right. So, rewind to about 2018, and I did a cycle ride from Aldershot to Arnhem in Holland over 3 days, and I just got into or started reading about keto.
Right.
and the benefits of a keto diet. And what happened? I was flying overseas, captive audience on a plane, and I saw I like documentaries, so I saw this documentary. It's called The Magic Pill, and I thought, well, I'll see what that's about. And it was fascinating. It was about how if you starve the body of carbohydrate, the body switches over to burning fat. So there are two fuel systems in the human body, carbohydrate and fat. Yeah. Now, we're led to believe, and I believe for years and years and years, that you needed carbohydrate. The three macronutrients, carbohydrate, fat, protein, you needed all three.
Yeah.
Carbohydrate is the only macronutrient that your body can do without. You can cut carbohydrate out of your diet completely with no adverse effect. Because when you burn all the carbohydrate, all the sugar in your body, it switches over to burning fat, and it gets its energy from fat. Ketones, your body uses those ketones for energy with no detrimental impact on your energy expenditure. So studies have shown that people that are on a fasted state or they're on ketos have no drop in performance against somebody who's on a high carbohydrate. That was how I started looking into this, sort of diet. I wanted to be the, guinea pig. Yeah. I've listened to people, I'll try it. And I did. And you go through a thing called keto flu. It's basically your body coming off carbohydrate. And it can be 2 or 3 days. And then your body starts using fat for energy. And I never looked back. And it was revolutionary in terms of, yes, you lose weight and people go, oh yeah, it's all water weight. Yeah, it is, because carbohydrate forces your body to hold on to water.
Yeah.
So yes, you're losing water weight, but you're also losing, fat as well. And then we get into a whole new science thing.
Yeah.
But staying on track, I started using keto. But then I carried on reading and researching. I'd done this cycle ride, but I did the cycle ride not completely fasted, but I wasn't taking in any carbohydrate. All my energy was coming from fat.
Yeah.
More research suggested that the body can only store 2,000 calories worth of carbohydrate.
Yeah.
You've got over 100,000 calories of ready-use energy in your fat stores. Even if you're the leanest person, you've still got over 100,000 calories. So work out, so people that are in on a high carb diet have to take carbohydrate every so cycling for instance, they say you should be fueling every 20 minutes. And that's got to be, because you're burning carb, you've got to replace it, because the body can't switch from carbohydrate to fat in the short term.
No.
So somebody who's on high carbohydrate, they get to a point and then they'll go, or they'll boink.
And I'm just thinking about when I've done like marathons or done some ultras and stuff, and I'm thinking you actually can sense it coming in.
Yeah.
I think one of the most significant times for me was I was doing a marathon on a ski erg. I hit 30k and I had nothing.
Yeah.
I literally could not lift my arms. And I just remember thinking, like looking for a food source, and because I'm a divvy, I didn't have any. Yeah. So I just had to sort of man it out and just go through that period. And it was about a good 20 minutes before I even came around.
Yeah.
So I was just literally hanging on for dear life. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, then I started to get more energy. There's going to be some people that will listen to this, probably the bodybuilding community, if I do have any bodybuilders that listen to this, or CrossFitters. Man, you're saying CrossFit community, they've come to that conclusion when they started doing the paleo, because I think they made paleo quite trendy, didn't they? Which is quite similar to the keto diet. So if you was to say to somebody that was challenging you and say, well, what if you're a high-end athlete? What would you say to that?
Some research has shown that if you do, short burst events, like if you're a 100 metres runner, there's a small benefit in professional sport. Those small gains can mean the difference between winning and losing. So I think you've got to look at what it is, sort of that you're doing. So for us, we both train in the gym. Is it going to make a huge difference having a tenth of a second faster on a skier. But it depends again what you want to do. If you want a world record, it could mean the difference between a world record or not. But the thing for me is everybody's different. What works for me might not work for you or anybody else that's watching the podcast. For example, that if you look at how much protein you need, they'll say a gram per pound of body weight. In the human body, if you take on too much protein, your body turns it to sugar, which then, if you're on a high sugar diet, will turn to fat. It will get stored as fat. So we're all different. When people say listen to your body, I think it's very true, because what works for one doesn't work for everybody. The human body is a fantastic, sort of tool, and it's not as clear as you need this much protein, because we're all built differently. Our body uses nutrients in a completely different way.
So I recently delivered a wellness day to a local corporate company, and we had the InBody. It was quite a revelation for some of the people in there of how detailed it was and how specific all the numbers were. So not one of those numbers was the same as anybody else's. But why we love using the InBody when we do go into corporates is because it shows people how individual. Yes, we have some general stuff that we all have in common, obviously. But when it gets to the nitty gritty, more or less, the numbers are going to be so significantly different. But when the government release a statement around nutrition or physical activity, because it's so general, but that's the only thing that people see, they tend not to realise how individual they are.
Oh, yeah, massively.
So like someone that's going to go on a diet, let's just say, that's going to sort of want to drop some body weight, they'll go on the internet and they'll go, if it's a female, I 2,000 calories. Instead of getting 2,000 calories, so they need to take 10% off that, and they're eating 1,800 calories, and then going, I'm not losing any weight. Their metabolic rate might be, only 1,300 calories, so they're overeating. It's really interesting though. So going back to the fasting. So when you've done your 10-day fast, how do you feel?
I was doing some work in London. And I was there for 3 days. And on that, I thought, right, this is my first soiree into fasting. I thought, right, I'm not going to eat for those, sort of 3 days. And I felt brilliant. Right. All I was drinking was water. So I could walk past a food shop, I could walk past a sandwich shop, see people eating, and there was no emotional response at all. There was no hunger pangs, because those hunger pangs, that hunger, and everything else is a byproduct of being on a high carbohydrate diet. But I'd already started cutting carbohydrate out of the diet, so I didn't have any of that. And I thought, wow, this is a bit of a revelation. So at the end of that 3 days, I then started looking into, is fasting good for you? And one of the things that fasting does is causes your body goes into a process called autophagy, which is self, phagy, eating. So it's like a control out delete for the human body. So during that autophagy, your body gets rid of damaged cells, cancerous cells, all sorts. There's so much at a cellular level that's going on, and it gets rid of, naturally, cells in the body get damaged, which is not good for longevity. And energy and and everything else. So that's what the body does naturally. So then I thought, I'm going to take this to another level. I've done a couple of 3-day fasts here and there, felt absolutely fine. And I thought, I'm going to try 10 days. So I looked at prolonged fasting. I don't know why I came up with 10 days, but I looked at prolonged fasting, and there was no difference really between evidence that I could find between doing a 10-day fast and a 40-day fast.
Wow.
So I thought, I'm going to do 10 days. So last year I did 4 10-day fasts every quarter.
Wow.
So my next one is coming up from the 1st of April. And when I did my first one, it was on the 1st of January 2023. So just after New Year, that was it. Till the 10th of January, didn't have a morsel. I didn't have any coffee, just water. and I felt brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
So, just tell the audience how old you are.
I'm 58 in 3 months.
And if you look at his skin, for one thing, his skin is immaculate. He looks in his 40s, in my opinion.
You're too kind.
He's like Portsmouth answer to bloody Tom Cruise. So going to your routine as well. So talk to us about longevity. So fasting is a big part of your lifestyle. So we do a 7 o'clock session, me and what are you doing?
Do a lot of stretching. I generally try and do weights 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
And then in between, I'll do stretching and abs.
Yeah. And another thing that you have catch me doing now as well is that zone 2. So you'll stick that zone 2 cardio in between your stretching. That's what I've noticed as well. And these are the things. So don't get me wrong. Like, I do like to hit the gym and I like to hit it hard. I've got that reputation. If we looked at that scientifically though, it isn't necessarily the best way to train, certainly as we get older. My reasons for training like that most of the time is probably because of my mindset and I just want that satisfaction. But if we're talking about scientifically looking at how to build a body that lasts longer, this guy has mastered this, and the reason being is fasting, 1, he does lots of stretching, he does lots of zone 2 cardio, and he does his strength training. And strength training is a real hard sell to people, I think, because I don't think necessarily a lot of people understand what's entailed, because they think that HIIT training is strength training, but it's not, is it?
No.
I think with regards to what you use as well, you use a kettlebell quite often. So tell them what you do with a kettlebell.
Well, thank you, Dan. It was Dan that got me into kettlebells. What could you possibly do with that? But the possibilities are endless. So I love Turkish get-ups.
Yeah.
So I use a Turkish get-up as a warm-up because it's whole body.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of strength, bit of stability. And core, legs, arms, shoulders, and that's what I like about it. And I'm always messing around with training, like I am with diet, like I am with lifestyle. That's why people are overweight, because they don't exercise. Well, that's only part of it.
Yeah.
It's about your sleep, it's about taking on water, it's about the gym, it's about your diet, it's about your lifestyle. Yeah. And there's a fantastic saying that I love. That genetics loads the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Yeah, I like that.
So we're all predisposed to, we could have anything wrong with us, but it's the way that you live your life that's going to make the difference.
Yeah.
And we're all different. We're all built, sort of differently. I don't do what I do necessarily to try and live to 100 or over 100. It's just to have a lifestyle where I'm pain-free, where I can do what I want to do, where I can still run, I can still bend down and pull my socks on in the morning. And touch wood, I'm there. I'm pain free. Yeah, of course I have niggles and pain, and I've got a frozen shoulder at the moment. But on the whole, I'm not on any medication. I haven't got any not that I know of, any lifestyle related sort of problems.
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do, just to be able to have the life where I can do what I want to do. I'm not restricted in any way.
Have you ever had any periods in your life where you haven't lived a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely. When I left at 40 years old, and I thought, no, I'm never going to train again. I don't have to. Nobody's telling me that I've got to do PT every morning. Nobody's telling me that I've got to do, fitness tests every, 6 months or whatever. And I thought, no. So when I got that first job, I was living life to the excess. So, I'd go up to London, and then after work, I'd go in the pub and get on the train, fall asleep, get off at, Pompey. And I was eating what I wanted. I put weight on, then I'd lose a bit of weight, and then I'd put weight on, and then it just got to a point where I wanted to do something again. I was counting the amount of units that I was drinking in wine by the bottle, not by the glass.
Yeah.
And I'd quite easily sit there, at night and drink a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Or a bottle and a half of wine, and then get on the 6:30 train up to London the next morning. And it came to a point where, I can't continue, sort of doing this.
What was your first steps getting back on track?
Just self-realisation. Because did I feel good? No. Did I look good? No. I was just in that rut of that so many people are in, but nobody's going to get you out of it. Yeah. Nobody is going to be as invested in you as you.
Yeah.
And I just came up and I thought, no, I can't carry on like this. And I started cycling. So I was getting up in the morning. I was going for a cycle, come back, have a shower, go to work. And that's, then kick-started. If you try and force somebody to go to the gym, they're going to rebel.
Yeah.
But what research has shown is when people start to lose a bit of weight, start to feel good because of their lifestyle, they want to train.
Yeah.
They want to go and keep on going and going and go and see where they can get to. But we're all different.
We definitely are.
Like the first question you asked me about being a veteran, some veterans really, really struggle. When they first come out, and we had a conversation offline, about it. Some people really, really struggle, but some people don't. I think I had a really good transition, and I always remember I got my last pay statement from the army, and I took it into the downstairs toilet, and I sat on the toilet and I just looked at this pay statement, and I thought, this is the last time I'm going to get money off HM government. It's not free, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And I folded it up and walked out and thought everything that I do now has got to be, me working. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I kept all the things that I thought were important from the military, like, sort of timekeeping, politeness, blah, blah, blah. All the rest of the stuff I got rid of. Because I was never going to go back to it.
No.
The military you left is completely different to the military now. The military I left is poles apart from the military that I joined at the start of the 80s. If you live your life looking at the military and going, I wish I was back in. No, you don't. Because if you went back in now, it'd be completely different to what you remember. The people are different, the routine's different, the regime's is completely different.
So when people leave, do you think it would be an advantage to them if they were struggling to get in a community where physical activity could possibly be the centre of bringing people together?
Strength in numbers. It's only ex-military that understand. If you can get into that, like a little community, ex-servicemen, that's got to be a good thing. You don't have to talk about ex-service stuff, but it's knowing, sense of humour, camaraderie, and that's a good little thing to get into, that human connection.
Yeah.
I know that I can come into the gym if there's nobody out, and I can say what I want to, and it's taken in the right way. You get it.
Yeah.
Even though we were different services, you get it. Because services is a services at the end of the day. Yeah. We all have banter. There was a really good thing on social media I saw, and it said, sort of ex-servicemen taking the mick out of each other, and they're all laughing, and then at the bottom under the line it's got civvies taking the mick out of the services, and everybody's like that. It's true, because the civvies can have no idea what anybody in the military's gone through. They can have an idea, but they don't know.
No.
And I don't want to try and it's us and them. It's not.
No,
it's not at all.
Not at all. And also some experiences are completely different. I was with a guy this week, Tom Merriman from the RV1. He's still serving in the Royal Marines. He's got the best job ever. He's going around recruiting for the Royal Marines at the minute. So he's going in rugby academies, he's going in schools, universities, and basically just putting them all through their paces, all these young kids and stuff, and really sort of bringing out the best in them to see if there's anyone there that's potentially good enough to join the Royal Marines. But like his experience, he didn't go too deep into his experience, to be fair, but I could tell that he'd had a lot more experiences than what I had when I was there. And I think when cities engage with people in the workplace, a lot of the time it will be from their running experiences, what they've seen on the media. So I can remember Paul Kincaid, who was a Lieutenant Colonel SF as well. He's a civvy now, doing his own thing, but he was saying sometimes when you're in a civilian community, they all think you've either got PTSD, you've all killed somebody, you've all, and that's not the case, is it?
No.
Sam, some of the jobs that you do in the military are literally just jobs.
Yeah, and but it needs everybody in those jobs. The Royal Marines need the Navy.
Yeah.
The Royal Marines couldn't get anywhere without the Navy. Well, the Navy needs cooks, because that's what keeps a ship fighting. At the end of the day. So everybody has got a job to do, and you can't look at SF. The SF couldn't get to where they need to go without the RAF. And everybody laughs at the RAF. Yeah. Sorry if you're RAF. But you know what I mean? So nobody should go or be thinking, I was only this or I was only that, because everybody's got a part to play. Everybody's got a little piece of the jigsaw to put in there.
It's funny you got to talk about the RAF. So one of our members, Matt Davis, his son's just joined the RAF and he's deployed at the minute.
Funny old thing. 5-star.
I know. So just to wrap up then, Sam, so going back to what would you recommend if someone were, at the end of the day, like I say again, we're not doctors, I'm a professional in the clinical exercise and PT. What I do like is when somebody's lived the path, I like to take their advice on how they started. If you're thinking about fasting, how would you go about starting?
Try doing a day, but if you're on a high carb diet anyway and you go, you're going to get hungry. And when you look at what causes hunger, or what's the hormone that dictates what you're going to eat, ghrelin, and what's the satiety hormone, leptin. They were only discovered in 1994, leptin, and 1999, ghrelin. So, within the last 40 years, they're the two hormones that have been discovered in terms of satiety and hunger.
Yeah.
So what makes you hungry? Stress. If you're stressed, you're more likely to eat, lack of sleep. So going back to what we were talking about, it's not about strength training, cardio, stretching, it's everything. Strength training, cardio, sleep, taking on, it's that lifestyle thing. But just try it. See how you get on, and then take it further. Using myself as a guinea pig, I give blood. And I used to give whole blood, but then I saw an advert and it said, give platelets and plasma. So not everybody can give platelets and plasma. It's down to blood group, because they like some blood groups more than others, and your veins have got to be in the right place. You don't have to be uber healthy, but your veins have got to be in the right. So I had to go to Southampton for an initial interview. And they said, your veins are good enough to give platelets. Okay, so, I'll do that. So I went on my first visit, and the nurse in charge there gave me an interview. And she said, right, tick list, do you eat a high-fat diet? And I was going, I do. I eat an awful lot of fat, but it's the type of fat. Not seed oils, not canola oil, or all the oils that we're told are healthy. I was eating lard, butter, ghee, dripping. I'd go to the butcher's and buy beef dripping, and she looked horrified, as though I was going to keel over. She said, we'll take a donation. She said, but we probably won't be able to use it because when the platelets come out, it goes very milky for people that are on a high fat. This would be a good little test. It takes about an hour. And at the end of the hour, she came up and she went, wow. She said, that's a perfect donation. She said, there's no discoloration, no cloudiness. That's exactly what they should be. She said they should be that lovely golden colour. And nearly every time I go now, they comment on how good the donation is. So I eat, cream in coffee, cheese, nothing half fat. I'm using myself as a guinea pig. So we're all led to believe that fat is the demon, but your body can't live without sort of fat, and fat doesn't make you fat.
No.
Fat doesn't clog your arteries.
No.
It's a rabbit hole. It's all over the place.
No, it's fascinating stuff, Sandy. I'm glad that you've come on and shared this journey. I think we'll get him back on again once he's done his fast, so he can explain to you how he's been feeling and stuff. But thank you very much, Sandy, for coming on the show. Cheers, pal. Take care, brother.
Cheers, mate.